Good morning. Good morning and Happy New Year's Eve. We made it. We made it through all of 2023. We did. Together. Unbelievable. And here we are. And we're celebrating with our Burning Bowl service today. And the Burning Bowl ceremony is a beloved unity tradition that we have been doing here for many years. And it has at its core this concept of release, which is one of our 12 powers, remember? The power of release. And so we're really going to exercise that power today. You ready? Yeah. And obviously it is inspired by indigenous cultures, right? That see fire as a sacred element and, not only providing physical warmth and light, but also having the ability to transform what is no longer serving us, sending it up in a prayer of smoke, returning it to the unformed state, right? And when we do this consciously, we release ourselves. We free ourselves from the past, from what's holding us back, from what's keeping us small, and we can live intentionally. And when we do this together, as in a group setting, right, we are giving our mind, body, and spirit a definite signal that we are ready to move out of that energy that's creating the problem or the situation or the way of being that's keeping us stuck. Are you ready? You ready to move out of that energy? Yes? Can I get a yes? Yeah, okay. We're all ready. We're ready to go.
How big is the bowl?
How hot is the fire? Oh my God, truly. So you have probably heard the saying that no problem can be solved from the level of consciousness that created it, right? That was Albert Einstein, who knew a thing or two, I hear. And yet that's what we keep trying to do, right? We think if we think of the problem enough, if we focus on it hard enough or long enough, that we'll come up with a solution. And we might come up with something that solves that particular problem for a while. But if we don't release our attachment to what's wrong and change the environment in which that problem was created in the first place, it's just going to pop up somewhere else again. It's going to show up again, right? And I think that that's what, the scientists like Einstein, when he was thinking about that, you would think, well, they have to really study the problem and come up with a solution. But I think this idea is that you have to be in a completely different place and really think out of the box and really get into a different way of seeing in order to really solve the problem. So, for example, let's bring it down to earth, right? Let's just say the landlord raised your rent, significantly. And now, you got a problem. You're having difficulty covering all of your bills, right? And so you think, here's my solution. I'm going to get a higher paying job, and that'll do it. And so you go out, you get a higher paying job, problem solved, right? Until an unexpected medical bill comes into your mail, and there you go, wiping out all of the benefits that higher paying job gave you, and you're right back where you were, right? And the same situation happens, whatever issue, whatever area that we all have them, right? We all have an area where we've got these repeated things that keep showing up in our lives, right? So if it's health, it could be, well, I fixed that problem with I fixed this problem, and then something else shows up, right? Or relationship issues, if that's, the realm that you're having some difficulty. Maybe you fix one relationship, got that done, that's fixed, and then some other difficult person comes along, and you have to kind of deal with that. So whatever area it is that we tend to have repeated problems, the idea of just fixing that one thing and thinking we're done, we want to try to think a little bit deeper, a little bit in a different realm. So going back to this issue of lack, if you were to release the idea of not enough, move out of the consciousness of not enoughness and begin to think a little differently. Begin to embrace the idea of abundance by paying attention to all of the forms of abundance in your life that's already there. It's already here. And being grateful for all of the forms of abundance, allowing yourself to feel that gratitude, thereby raising your vibration. Now you're at a completely different place in consciousness. And you can begin to see new possibilities. Maybe even new ways of being. Right? So another example might be, and this was appropriate when I went out walking my dog this morning, and it was 31 degrees. It's warmed up a little bit, but still. Okay, so imagine that you're in an environment that is freezing. That is below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It's freezing. So any H2O in that environment is going to be in the form of ice. It's going to take the form of ice. And let's say, you're a little tired of the ice. Maybe you're thirsty, you want some water. And so you think, well, okay, let me just take an ice pick and chop away at the ice, and then maybe I'll get some water from that. But no, right? It only forms into smaller and smaller chunks of ice. It doesn't become water until you change the temperature, until you raise the temperature. In other words, when you change the environment in which the problem was created in the first place, right? Then things shift. The problem is that the ice dissolves and now you have water. You've changed the environment, you've raised the temperature, ice dissolves, you have water. So when we change the environment of our consciousness, problems shift and we begin to see it from a whole different perspective. We begin to see new possibilities of good. Right? Here's the thing, a higher understanding, a higher consciousness cannot support the problem. Isn't that good to know? The higher consciousness can't support the problem. It supports greater expressions of good, greater possibilities of good. That's what we're doing. So our friend Derek Rydell says, problems aren't solved, they dissolve when you evolve your consciousness. Which is a fun play on words, right? And it's just expressing this idea that just by, focusing on the problem doesn't go away just by focusing on it. By working at it from the level of consciousness, that separation consciousness that created it in the first place. We must look at it differently, have a new perspective. And in unity, that's about deepening our understanding of who we truly are. Who we truly are. Who are we? We're divine beings expressing in this human dimension, right? Divine beings expressing in this human dimension. And as such, all the love, all the peace, all the joy, all of the health and well-being, all of the abundance, all the peace that you could ever possibly imagine is already ours in potential. It's already ours in potential. And this is true for everyone, right? This is true. All of these divine qualities are true for every single being on this planet in potential. So from that perspective, right, a way becomes clear. We begin to see anew. We've transformed our consciousness. We're beginning to see anew. New possibilities. New possibilities of good. But it first starts by releasing our attachment to the thing, to the problem, which we're going to do today in the burning bowl ceremony. And as I've just been speaking about, the problem, of course, is a manifestation of the consciousness behind it, of the attitudes, the beliefs, the separation thinking, the resentments, the guilt, the feeling of not enoughness, the belief of I'm not good enough, lack of self-esteem, guilt, whatever. All of those things are kind of in there. It's the environment that has given rise to these issues to begin with. So that's what we want to get to. What is underneath that, right? And then once we release that, we're free, right? We're free. We can breathe. Let's all take a breath together. There's space, and you'll feel it. Once we do this, you'll feel space. You will feel this expansion in consciousness. And here's the thing. Expanding our consciousness, raising our vibration is not something that generally happens all at once. Oop, there it is. There I am. Done it. Burnt my thing. I'm enlightened. I wish it were true. It's usually something that happens incrementally, by degrees. A little bit, a little bit, a little bit. We let in a little light, and a little more light, and a little more light, a little more light. We don't even notice a change, just kind of like the days are getting a little longer, a little longer. We don't even notice it. It's imperceptible. But before we know it, it's summer and it's light at 8 o'clock. Oh my God, it's 8 o'clock and it's still light outside, right? That's the same with us. When we keep at the spiritual practice day after day, we're letting in a little more light. Our consciousness is growing a little bit more and a little bit more. We don't even notice that anything is changing. But before we know it, we're in a completely different place in consciousness than we were 6 months ago. By summer, let's all see everything from a different perspective. Have a higher consciousness by summer, okay? Yeah, we can do it. Absolutely, we can do it. We're here to support each other in this growth and in keeping with spiritual practice so that it continues to happen.